How do we take our shots from boring, bland, beginner shots to more creative, interesting shots? I'm in Tossa De Mar in Spain, a beautiful morning, and we're going to go over some tips about how you can unlock your creative eye more with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3.
See the beginner. He's just wandering around with the Pocket 3, recording everything as he happens to see it. He gives out a lot of information to the viewer in one go, and it doesn't build much suspense. The boats are all in focus and it's shot at eye level. Now let's check out the Pro. He's planning the shot before he even has the Pocket 3 out. Instead of filming all the boats in one go, he's going to highlight one, and he'll use aspects of the surrounding boats to frame the shot and lead the eye in. They also add some depth with the out of focus foreground. He'll also film at a lower angle to disrupt the horizon. Using 4K 120 slow motion in tilt lock mode, he can just lean in and achieve a much smoother push-in shot. The beginner has a lot of indecisive motions. He pans the Pocket 3, then he moves his hand down, then he walks forward. This leads to a very stuttery shot, which is quite jarring for the viewer to watch. The Pro keeps his feet still when he needs to, and instead shifts his body weight to the side. He uses the foreground to add a reveal aspect to his shot and build suspense. Shooting in tilt lock mode and slow motion 4K 120, this leads to a higher production shot. Looks like it could have been shot with a motorized slider. The beginner sees a panoramic view and is excited. He rushes over and pans with the Pocket 3 to show it off. Now, whilst these viewpoints are very impressive to see in person, capturing it in this way just doesn't do it justice on video. The Pro instead shoots the same scene on a tripod as a time-lapse. This gives a much more dynamic shot. The Pro also creates interesting time-lapse transitions. He can do this by taking photos and videos of the exact spot and height of the tripod, as well as taking note of the grid lines. Then he returns later on in the evening and repeats these reference points to shoot a new time-lapse. Time-lapses can be really helpful to tell the story of time passing, and you never quite know when you might use them in the edit, so it's always great to have the option. The beginner sees a cool motorbike, which he gets very excited to film. But he gets very quickly bored, and almost like he's creating an Instagram story, he very quickly moves on to the next street. He chases some poor cat around with his Pocket 3. The Pro takes a bit more care and puts together a sequence to give the viewer more of the experience of actually going along this street. And he also gives us different angles, so he shows the tops of buildings, side-on angles, and a lower angle as he turns the corner.
One of the biggest mistakes the beginner will make with the Pocket 3 is the walking. They often think just because this has a gimbal doesn't necessarily mean you'll get rid of all the up and down motion. Typical beginners will often just walk around like this and be bobbing up and down. You'll have also beginners that have heard on YouTube about this ninja walk, where you're meant to go bend your knees and walk from heel to toe. And I think YouTubers get it wrong in how they're describing it sometimes. I get what they're saying, but if you're consciously bending your knees, that's a mistake. Because then you're going to be arching your back too much. Now, sometimes for getting a low angle shot, I might arch my back a little bit, but you don't want to make a regular habit of it because you're going to get back problems and it's not going to be as smooth. So what you want to do instead of the ninja walk is just walk heel to toe and keep upright as possible. And everything here, you're aiming to keep this steady. Okay, so elbows locked in. And think to yourself, gliding. I want to be gliding. A lot of YouTubers hold their Pocket 3s like this. Now, I do for some shots, okay? For a lot of shots, let's say I'm doing a jib up shot, I'll have this extendable pole like this. Pushing forwards, the Pocket 3 is actually smoother if you have it in this mode, like this, torchlight mode, okay? And if you want to be as smooth as possible, this same selfie stick we've been using all day, once you've got this ball head on it, you've now got an extra point of contact. Okay, so you can lock in your elbows here, and then this is locked in. As long as you can see the screen, all right? Depends on the shot, of course. I don't necessarily always do this. I might sometimes like this, balancing your phone, or you can put a mount on here to have your phone like this, and that is, you know, play around with it, have fun. But what I love about this is you've got the flexibility. I'm not taking out some massive cage or anything like that. I'm using this for creating fake drone shots, and then when I want to, I'm going to flip it around like this to have maximum stability. Think about it if you were holding a plate of food, okay? You wouldn't be holding it with both hands in the middle like this. You would spread out your hands, and then you'd be more confident you're not going to drop anything. The beginner tends to use vortex mode for the sake of it, just because it looks cool on reviews, without really being conscious and thinking why to use it. So just pick a random plant or a random top of a building and just spin the camera around. The pro will be more intentional about using vortex mode. Maybe you'll choose a cool corridor, little cave, push in. It emphasises the spinning motion. It looks a bit disorientating for the viewer, but it's quite cool. Maybe passing by some traffic. This can look pretty spectacular with the vortex mode. Bonus tip. You really want to avoid hopping on the tour bus, because that just gets you in a more frenzied way of thinking. For a start, you've got loads of people around you, all competing to get the same shot, and they all go in swarms, and it's a frenzy, it's a competition to get in a queue to get this and that photo. If you take yourself out of that, ideally set your alarm, get up for sunrise, you can have much clearer thinking then. You'll often find at that time there'll be a lot of photographers out. So it's people that are taking their time a bit more, you know, look around, don't just get the obvious shot, just look up, look down, look different angles, and if you can, visit the same spot repeatedly. Let me know what you thought about the edits. Now, if you'd like to also learn how to create fake drone shots with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 like you can see here, then I'll leave a link for that video here and I'll see you there. If you find these tips have helped you and you're inspired to create an edit, then please leave in the comments, come back to the video once you've done that, leave in the comments the title of your video so that other people that have watched this can go and see what you've created and I can also check it out. Also hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications and join this amazing community. I'll see you guys soon.